Westcott flexible stainless steel ruler, made in USA. I'm making this video for alternatorparts.com. I bought this monster GM alternator from them and I modified it, not following their directions. I was told to remove this top lug, but in fact after doing one pass with the hacksaw I decided not to, and I made a new bracket to connect to the back of the idler, but it just holds it steady. And I made a new bracket in the back to clear the big needle bearing that this alternator has, so it's not anything that bolts up to a 6.5 unless you modify it substantially by making a new top bracket and modifying the rear bracket substantially. But the problem I'm having is that the alternator is sitting crooked, and I noticed that as I was installing it. And here's a straight edge, and it's kind of hard to see because the camera only has one lens, not two like our eyes, but that would be running true. And I'm lining it up with the belt that goes around the air conditioner. Look at the gap. There is at least 1/8 of an inch gap, and there's lined up with the pulley, and see how it's off on that belt. And if I straighten the ruler straight edge to line up with the belt, we end up with an eighth inch gap. So somehow this casting must have been improperly drilled. That's a good question. What happened here? I don't know. And the pulley also is a 2 3/8 pulley, which is smaller, which speeds up the alternator. But diesels run their tachometer off the alternator, so a smaller pulley will give a faster reading on the tachometer. I believe it should have a 2 5/8 pulley, which is easily changeable. But still, it would be good to know that type of information. I could have asked for the proper pulley and sacrificed a bit of low speed charging. I can change it, but you have to remove the alternator to get an impact gun in there, because the only real way to remove that pulley is with an impact gun. You could try to put an Allen key in and put a socket, but then how do you hold the Allen key if you've got a socket wrench on that, or a socket with a ratchet? You know, hollow socket and a hollow ratchet. I haven't seen one. I'm sure the Chinese have one. So there's the issue. Alternator sitting crooked, and because of it the belt is chunking and squeaking, and it's leaving little particles on the fan as the belt runs by it. Yep. Don't know how this happened, but that alternator is sitting crooked. It's canted counterclockwise, and I don't know why. This bracket here is not the issue. I put that on after the alternator was installed. And the back one, if you can see it, I had to cut it substantially, and then I triangulated it to give it some strength. But I've seen people run their 6.5s without the back bracket. It just triangulates the whole alternator, stop it from vibrating and dying an earlier death than it could or should. So there is lined up, and there's what I've got. That's what I got, that's what I want. And that's that. I guess I better crank this thing up, and you can hear the squeak from the alternator as well. You can see the problem with the gauge dropping. I forgot about that, so get some glow plugs warmed up. This thing's already been running today. Mrs. CW went to the chiro in the gym. Crank her up! There's the squeak, squeak, squeak. And the next problem is kind of mysterious. You rev it, when the RPM comes down, the emergency brake is on. Put it in neutral for a better view of the gauge. Of course, it's not doing it now. Oh, there we go. Yeah, just dips momentarily. I don't know why. Well, not every time. Did it a couple times. You can watch the tachometer jump up. It's still only partially warmed up. When it warms up, the idle will lower and voltage gauge drops, lights dim. It does it pretty consistently. Let's try it in gear. Oh, there it goes. I'll try it again when it warms up after the car wash.